This is the 5 Red Lights. My name is Aaron, and this is my top 3 drivers from the Tuscan Grand Prix. Okay, let's dive on in. The 5 Red Lights have gone out again. We've had so many sequences of 5 Red Lights over the last 2 races. Five sequences of 5 Red Lights. Unbelievable. Unheard of even. So my third place driver for the Tuscan Grand Prix, which was held at Mugello, goes to Daniel Ricciardo. Another very strong performance from Daniel, again proving his status as one of the highest caliber drivers on the Grand Prix circuit. He came so close to that podium for Renault, who haven't scored one since 2011 with Nick Heidfeld, while Daniel last visited the podium in 2018 when he won the Monaco Grand Prix. His prowess on the brakes again got himself through the pack, and he was 7th, I think, when they eventually got going. But he made a nice pass on Perez. I can't remember if did he pass Albon. He might have passed Albon early on as well. He might have been 6th, I think. Albon dropped back a bit more. And then he got past Stroll with the undercut, showing excellent pace. As soon as he came out the pits, bang, purple middle sector. He did get stuck behind Kvyat, but he recovered the time to get himself ahead of Stroll, put himself into P3. Most importantly, he kept himself out of trouble. But in the end, he lost out because of Lance's accident, which was strange. And obviously, I think Lance would have liked to have taken the podium position for himself, but his accident ended up leading to Daniel losing that third place. He made a really good restart, getting up to 2nd place, and then once Bottas got past him, Albon came at him too and got past him. A really nice move in terms of defense from Daniel, sending Albon down the outside. And a normal track with a more regular track, there might have been a more opportunity to defend, but the line around the outside was well rubbered in from the Formula 3 and Formula 2 guys. But as it was, P4, still excellent points for Renault, even if Cyril Abiteboul is not going to go and get a tattoo yet. And moving on to 2nd place on my top 3 drivers, Alexander Albon. Finally, Alex Albon has his first F1 podium. He's been under pressure for several races. There's been a lot of chat around his future, and it probably wasn't helped at all by Pierre Gasly going to win the Italian Grand Prix. The things seemingly refused to fall in Alex's favour. The last 2 or 3 times he's been in a podium position, or potential podium position, he's been wiped out by Lewis Hamilton, or things just have not gone his way. And it kind of looked like it was going to go that way again in Mugello. Lost places at both of the first 2 starts, but as he's shown in his first few races with Red Bull last year, his racecraft and his overtaking ability are really outstanding. And it was these 2 abilities that really helped him to get through that pack that were behind Leclerc early on and put himself in a position to challenge for it. He could have got stuck, but he made good progress. His overtakes were brave and assertive. The final pass, which was decisive against Ricciardo, encompassed both of those factors, as well as his very instinctive pass on Sergio Perez at the restart. He lost that place, and then he decided, no, not today. He's just got to stick it there. He must have just put his foot to the floor. Luckily, the Red Bull has the downforce, and he managed to just drive around the outside of the Racing Point driver. But again, he showed great speed, and that is something that is, I don't think it should be questioned, but it's definitely doubted whether he has the speed. He does have the speed. After his pit stop, and he came out chasing Stroll and Ricciardo, he pitted last before the second red flag. He was so quick. At times he was half a second, 3/4 of a second quicker than them, and he caught them hand over fist. Whether he would have caught them and passed them without the red flag, I'm not sure, because there seemed to be a bit of a buffer, about 1.5 seconds, 1.3 seconds. The Bottas was stuck in behind Hamilton, and Maybe he'd have got stuck. Maybe he'd have got Stroll. Not sure. But the red flag worked in his favour, and he demonstrated that speed again once he'd got past Ricciardo into P3, pulled clear of the DRS threat, and brought it home. So well done, Alex. Finally, you've got your first podium. And my number one pick, my top driver of the weekend, the best performer from my perspective, is George Russell, Mr. Saturday. Fact. It might seem really strange that my top pick is someone who was eliminated in Q1 and finished 11th in the race, but here's why. George's speed is obvious, as is his professionalism. I think he's just so professional in the way he conducts himself in that Williams team. It could be quite easy for him to go, oh, well, young, I've got all this speed, and these two guys who I came through the ranks with in Albon and Norris, who I beat in the same equipment. Look at them scoring points and podiums and getting all the glory. But he doesn't shy away from the fact that there is a job to be done at Williams, that the team isn't in the best possible situation, but he doesn't blame it as an excuse for not doing very well. He uses it as an opportunity to really shine the light on him, so that when he does something good, obviously it makes the car look better, but people go, oh, well done, George. It's just one of those things. And he's got into Q2 several times this season, and he's really working hard to turn the Williams team's fortunes around from behind the wheel, obviously. And he's so close from making the jump from almost there to arrived as a major threat in the midfield. His Mugello performance was excellent. Firstly, he managed to avoid all the chaos, something his teammate Nicholas Latifi was collateral damage in. Secondly, he totally had the speed on Saturday to get his car into Q2. I mean, no wonder they call him Mr. Saturday. But he did make a mistake on his last Q1 lap, running wide on the exit of Savelli corner, the flat-out left-hander. He actually ran with two wheels on the gravel, but he kept his foot planted and continued his lap. Ended up being an improvement on what he'd done before, and he still outqualified Latifi. So he's now 30-0 in his teammate battle. So he beat Kubica 21. Was it 20? It must have been 21 last year. 21-0 last year, and now he's 9-0 against Latifi. And bear this in mind: that skirmish into the gravel probably cost him a quarter of a second, perhaps half a second, even though he kept his foot in it. He missed out on Q2 by 0.151 seconds. So if he'd got through, imagine that, where could he have put that car? Vettel would have gone out in Q1, I think, because of it. He could have even been 12th, 11th to start the race. And then where on earth would he have ended up on Sunday, perhaps? We'll never know. Come race day, though, he manages to keep himself out of trouble, finds himself running as high as 9th on pure merit. He's ahead of Sebastian Vettel, 4 times a world champion, and he's holding the German at a buffer of around 4 seconds with Vettel on fresher tyres. Unfortunately, the crash of Lance Stroll led to him losing places at the third start. Raikkonen and Grosjean, kind of slightly unfairly, actually, allowed to unlap themselves and recovered that lost lap, which meant they came to the restart with nice warm tyres and brakes, which meant they got a brilliant launch, and they went from last and second last to 8th and 9th, which was a gain of like 3 or 4 positions each. But, George didn't make the greatest start. It's just one of those things, though. How often do you see a restart with 13 laps to go? Yeah, just one of those things. But he was so close to getting that first points finish, and it's coming. It's coming, though. It really is coming. So that's my top 3. Third place is Daniel Ricciardo. Second place is Alexander Albon. And my top performer of the Tuscan Grand Prix is George Russell. Leave a comment down below if you agree, if you disagree. Who was your driver of the day? Who did you? I did vote for Daniel Ricciardo actually, purely for the race day. But overall, I thought George's performance was a little bit better. Sometimes I consider the equipment that drivers have got. Leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. Check out our podcast and a few other bits on Twitter and Instagram, which I'll leave the link tree for in the description down below. That's the checkered flag on this video. I will see you in a couple of weeks for the top 3 drivers from the Russian Grand Prix. Until then, guys, stay racy. Bye for now.